Hey everybody, YouTube land. This is Natalie Antonov again with Gable Music Ventures, bringing you another interview with the experts. That's the music industry experts, by the way. And today we have a very special guest. Her name is Christianna Labuz, and she is a programming director at City Winery in Philadelphia. A little bit about Christianna. She was born and raised in South Jersey. She graduated from Drexel University's music industry program. Then she hopped west to Ann Arbor, Michigan to work at a booking agency called Fleming Artists, and she hopped back east again to book shows at the World Cafe Live and then Live Nation, and then joined City Winery in 2019 in Philadelphia. She's also been on the board for the Philadelphia Music Alliance since 2013. So without further ado, let's get it started. Hey, Christianna, how you doing today?
I'm doing just fine. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, thank you. I'd like to get right into it. What did you do to get your start in music?
So back when I was about halfway through high school and started having the inevitable conversations with, my parents, guidance counselor, as far as, what do you want to do to grow up? I just kept thinking about what my parents always told me along with my grandparents, which was figure out what you like to do and then find a way to get paid for it. And up until that time, the biggest passion of mine was music, live music specifically. I was always going to shows and listening to music, talking about music to my friends. And so once that was, what I kind of chose, the thinking was, from my parents was like, oh, great, you want to be a music teacher? I was like, well, no, I'm not musically inclined myself. I just really like it. And they're like, oh, you don't want to be a musician then, right? If that's the case. I was like, no, same concept of not being musically inclined. I just want to work in it. So then my sophomore year of high school, they being my parents, found a program at Drexel that they called a boot camp. That was sort of an experiment to see if there was any interest in a new music industry major that they were launching. And it was a week long, and it really opened my eyes to, all of the behind the scenes work that there is to be done within music, not only on the production side, in the studio and live sounds, but also on the business end of things, between licensing and managing and everything, that goes along with that. So it was only a week, but it was super impactful for me. I made a lot of friends that I still have to this day. And it really whet my appetite for the industry. And from then I went on to go through Drexel's music industry program and get some real life experience that way through their co-op program. So
very cool. Do you find that industry degree really impacted your success in your career? Like, could you have done it without it?
So with the degree, the pricey degree, came my base network of contacts. And with the degree came real life experience, being able to work at actual booking agencies and labels, before I even graduated. I'm not going to sit here and say that I got the jobs that I did because I have Bachelor of, Science on my resume. I've gotten the jobs that I have through networking and through, my relationships with people that I've worked with for a long time over the years. That being said, if I get out of the industry someday and pursue a different career path and need to start fresh, then I'm sure I will be very, very grateful to have that degree to even be considered for, a lot of positions.
Yeah, that's interesting. We've talked to a few people who have gotten their degrees in music or something like that, and they always say that it is important to do it if you can, if you want to. That's kind of the general consensus. Would you agree that like you would have to do it, or you should do it, or you should really consider doing it?
I think if you are in a position to, sure, but I always tell people, try going maybe, community college, take classes in everything. To me, it's just as valuable to figure out what you don't want to do as it is to figure out what you do want to do and to be able to kind of cross some stuff off the list. So, I did the same thing. I took photography classes. I did all kinds of stuff, and kind of stayed the path, for the most part. But it's a lot of money. You can definitely find yourself in a lot of debt. So I think, there is no blanket answer for that. I think it's a case by case scenario for everybody, depending upon what their goals and aspirations are specifically.
Got it. Makes total sense. And so you pretty much started in kind of like the booking realm, and that's your baby. That's what you basically do is your booking time. So you'd be a perfect person to ask, what is it you look for in bands when you book?
So a lot of different things all at once. Obviously, talent, professionalism, definitely the appeal. If their draw exists, what their demographic is, everything kind of balled up into a nice presentable package. After a band is booked, it's also my job to then market it and find the audience and get them to buy tickets, as well. So if I can identify that, and I think that crowd is out there and it's tappable, in such a way that everybody can make a little bit of money, then that's great. Definitely, just kind of looking for, it sounds kind of cheesy, but a lot of times it's that X factor that you can't really quantify as far as like the potential of a band is concerned. If it's one that has only recently come across my radar, but definitely professionalism. And when I say professionalism, I don't just mean like replying to emails in a timely manner. I mean, like, what's your branding look like? How do you present yourself to the world? What thought goes into, when you're choosing, when we're picking ticket prices, making sure that it's appropriate, et cetera.
I'm glad you brought up the marketing point. I think a lot of people might have a misconception that if you're a booking agent, all you do is, find the bands and schedule them, to play. And that's kind of the end of your job at that point. But from what you're saying, it sounds like that is also, you kind of continue it until, at least the day of the show, working with them and marketing with them to do your job. And that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we definitely, as talent buyers, bookers, programmers, work hand in hand with our marketers, in order to kind of help steer the ship a little bit, especially if a band is like, if it's a really niche market that we're trying to hit and tap into, just trying to provide guidance. I try to never book bands that I wouldn't have confidence in being able to market myself. I would never want to put that on my team. I wouldn't want to, book something really weird that, has no audience, in the Philly area, and then just be like, all right, good luck, have fun, I'm out. That's just not fair. So yeah, I would say, it's definitely a big part of, once the show is confirmed, my job is definitely not done, at all until loadout.
Makes sense. So in that process of finding, the bands that have that drawing, that could bring people, how important are online stats like followers and things like that?
I think with a legit draw and having an audience, with that comes the followers. I look more for interaction with fans, for bands to have kind of like a cool, like, you can tell when bands have relationships with their fans, when there's back and forth, when there's banter, when they're answering questions, when they're engaged. That to me tells more of a story than, had the figure, how many likes you have on Facebook or whatever. Streaming numbers tell you, something, but, not everything. Just kind of being able to zoom in and look at a map of, where those streams come from is very telling. But just because someone has a lot of streams or downloads in a particular area doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to leave their house and buy tickets to come see them live. There has to be, more than that, than just the stats.
Interesting. Yeah, that's definitely something that I find that, we in other videos we've done at Gable Music Ventures for our YouTube channel tend to like to tell people that engagement is really important. Like that is one of those major things that you can't just set it and forget it. It's not like you have a Facebook page just to have a Facebook page. You know, you actually have to put a lot into it and then also engage with those fans to that degree. So I'm really glad you brought that up.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, if there's more content and more posts with fewer likes or whatever versus like just a real sporadic content and posting with a ton, you know, I think that volume, quantity is important, as well as quality, of course. But I think that people's attention spans are shorter than ever now. So in order to, you know, kind of keep your fans engaged, you got to give them as much content as you can. It's a fine line though. You know, you don't want to bombard them. You want to save something for the live show. But
Exactly.
you know, you can find the balance there, I think.
Cool. Do you have any pet peeves for that bands do or don't do things book-wise?
Yeah.
That was
Mailing or emailing MP3s
ooh.
is annoying.
Mhm.
Just sending large files in general. I mean, I used to get annoyed by people like dropping off CDs at the venue, but whatever, that's fine. It doesn't really bother me anymore. What bothers me more is when people just kind of show up unannounced, without like an appointment or, you know, any sort of meeting with me, or they're just like, hey, is Christianna here? I'm like, I am, but
But I'm
do,
not.
do it the right way. Yeah, the drop-ins, I guess. But yeah, emailing large files, just you know, just put it in Dropbox like a normal person if you know, really need to send like a huge video or something.
I love it. That's a great
Yeah.
tip, actually, and that brings me to my next question, actually, which is all about EPKs, the electronic press kits, and you know how valuable are they for a band to have to be able to interact with a booking agent like you in a simple way.
Yeah, I mean, EPKs are fine, as long as they're organized and make sense and presented in a professional way. I hate just having to like search for things and like dig for stuff. If you can house everything just on your website without taking someone off of your site, even better. But you know, not everybody has the bandwidth for that. What I always look for is live video.
Mhm.
Um,
Like of a
and
live performance in particular, or
yeah, looking for the live performance, live video. And like, you know, how professional does that look? You know, it's like, yeah, the performance itself, but then, you know, can you piece together a professional looking package? As well as I like to see a list of past show dates,
Mhm.
to kind of track, you know, what kind of trajectory the band is on. And contact info. You wouldn't believe how many bands don't have contact info on their website. That drives me crazy.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right, contact info. I didn't think that was what you
Email,
were going to say at all.
definitely email and phone number if you can. But yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me when bands don't have contact info.
Yeah, strange. All good things though. All very good things. You know, we do have another video on our YouTube about you know, EPKs and things like that and what to include and not include. And I really like the fact that you just added the past show dates to that. So we're gonna have to update that video later on. But thank you for
Cool.
the tip, Christiana. It's amazing. Awesome. So let's move to, you were mentioning networking earlier, and how big of a role that plays and the reputation in the success of someone getting booked. What kind of role do you think, like, explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean it's huge, for sure. You know, definitely, being able to pick up the phone and not only be able to, you know, talk to a band's agent, but you know, their manager, their publicist, someone at the label in order to get stuff done. Sometimes it takes, you know, a lot. It takes the whole team to pull a project over the finish line.
Mhm.
So, you know, just keeping in touch with people, building long-term relationships with people too, you know, and just being able to, okay, the show is over, but that's not, you know, the end of it. We should be already talking about the next play. You know, what's next before the initial one even happens. and just kind of being able to build out a plan and be in it for the long haul with a band and their team. And that pays off in dividends because, agents represent multiple bands, obviously. A lot of managers, it's the same case. So, it's efficient, but also, just enables you to get more cool stuff done.
Cool. All right, I'm going to shift us over a little bit from that to the Philadelphia Music Alliance. You are a part of that. Can you tell us a little bit about what they do, their mission?
Yeah, absolutely. So the PMA was actually founded the year that I was born, which is 1986. But it's a nonprofit organization that basically strives to preserve and recognize Philly's music scene. There's a lot of history here, for sure. So, the board is different music executives who, have been involved in cultivating the scene over, the past few decades. And there are 124 bronze plaques on Broad Street on the Avenue of the Arts that recognize each of the sort of figureheads who have made a huge impact on Philly's music scene over the years. So every 2 or 3 years, we have an induction ceremony and induct anywhere from 5 to 8 new artists onto the Walk of Fame. And we also do a lot of charity work, raising money for other groups, Rock to the Future, and a lot of really great organizations, Musicopia, in order to help them with their respective missions as well, and just raise awareness on the cool stuff that they are up to at any given time.
Very cool. Is there a way music fans in general can get involved or support the organization?
Absolutely. So you can visit the Walk of Fame anytime. It's outside. It's right on the sidewalk, so there aren't like visiting hours or anything. Cool. We are working on making the walk more interactive and are actually currently developing an app so that you can be standing at the plaque at your feet and then on your phone pull up all the information, video, audio that you could care to want about that particular artist. And
cool.
it's really exciting, and we will be able to like make connections between some of the plaques as well. And then our website, philadelphiamusicalliance.org, is where everything lives, past archived footage from past induction ceremonies. You can watch Jimmy Fallon inducting the Roots on the stage of the Fillmore. There's some really, really cool stuff on our website where you can, just read up about the organization and find out what we're up to. And we are on Facebook as well.
Very cool. Thank you. Now, so we're kind of at this point when we're filming this interview, hopefully at the tail end of the worst of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's been just a year, actually. A couple weeks ago, it was exactly a year since this whole thing started. And I want to know how that has impacted your career, your job type, or people similar to you. What have you had to do to kind of get yourself through that?
How hasn't it impacted live music?
I'm afraid of that.
So yeah, I mean, our last show, Joan Osborne, last March, a year ago yesterday, was the last time we were able to present any live music in City Winery Philly. We pivoted for a little bit and, kind of scrambled for a while, thinking naively that we could just postpone everything for 2 weeks or so. Once it became clear that that wasn't going to happen, we started doing live stream shows, but then I was furloughed in July along with the rest of the team. And it sucks, it's definitely really disheartening. But at the same time, what has gotten us through has been the formation of NIVA, the National Independent Venue Association, which did not exist pre-COVID. NIVA was formed in order to help all of the independent venues, independent meaning non-Live Nation or AEG venues, keep in touch and just talk to each other and check in on a regular basis, sometimes to just vent, sometimes to productively help and share information. And so we started meeting on, a regular basis over Zoom. And that really is what helped get us through mentally, emotionally. And there's I think over 1,000 venues that are on board NEVA at this point, and through that we've been able to actually pass meaningful legislation through Congress in order to get funding, because for a while we were just left, we were just kind of abandoned, and we were the first to close and we'll be the last to open, and there was no money in the budget, but we fought for some money and it went through. The Save Our Stages bill passed. Applications open next month, and there is finally, for the first time, a light at the end of the tunnel. We still don't know when we're going to be open yet. So in the meantime, just checking in with all the folks in NEVA. A lot of bands have switched agents and have different configurations, and some are just trying to work on some brand new music. So just keeping on top of all of those changes has been fun. Me personally, I pass the time by making bagels and walking dogs now. So I'm getting more exercise than I ever did, but I'm also putting on bagel weight, so they kind of balance each other out.
Well, no, that's good though with the exercise. Do you do anything else that keeps you kind of motivated and kind of focused on the future?
Yeah, I mean, just trying to find the silver lining and take this opportunity to spend as much time with my family as I can. I adopted a dog in November. My boyfriend Ryan and I adopted Jasper. And so that is something that we might not necessarily have done if we weren't in lockdown. It's something we always talked about doing and never did. So she's my little living, breathing Xanax.
I wish I could see her back there.
Let's see if I can. Yeah, she's a cutie. She's right. Oh, I can't get her right now, but she's cute.
Okay. Well, I believe you. She's there. No, that's good though. I mean, out of all of this kind of like sadness and kind of negative state of things, some positive stuff has come out. Out of it. So that's really cool to hear. How people are pulling through and getting themselves, closer to their family, getting pets. I mean, that's always a good thing to, especially if you're rescuing or doing something like that or adopting, for sure. So what is, I asked this for everybody that I've interviewed, what is one piece of advice that you would give yourself, have given your younger self, to make the journey to where you are right now a little bit easier for yourself?
Good question. Probably set better boundaries, and just tell myself, you don't always have to be available 24/7. Take vacations where you actually unplug. My boyfriend and I, we travel a lot, but we always work while we travel. So, just actually trying to go someplace and not work. And also, if you're unhappy with a particular workplace, just to kind of zoom out a little bit and realize, that this might sound tough, but, will probably be replaced within weeks. So, don't agonize for months and years and make yourself miserable, or possibly even sick, because stress does manifest itself in physical ways. Just life is short. So, just try and be as happy as you can while helping as many people as you can. And I would probably tell myself not to drink so much.
There it is. That's funny. Oh, that's a good one. I think a lot of us could probably say the same thing. Not gonna lie. But hey, quarantine, what?
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. Whatever gets you through.
Whatever. Okay, so we have a little speed round here. So some quick questions coming your way. What is the most impressive band you've ever booked?
Most impressive. I thought it was really cool when for World Cafe Live at the Queen's 4th anniversary, we were able to book the XX. It was April 1st, and it just like landed perfectly on that date, and it, you know, sold out within less than a minute, and really pushed our staff to the limits that we hadn't necessarily been pushed to before in terms of like scale and production. You know, we had haze for the first time. We had to have, you know, a whole, you know, catering crazy, you know, a lot of different spreads and just different parameters and requirements than we had been used to at that point. So that will always be a super memorable one for me, because every aspect of it was challenging, and it was a huge success.
Very cool. I understand you like whitewater rafting. What's the best place to do that?
Oh, the place that we frequent the most is West Virginia, actually near Fayetteville. The New River and the Gully River are some of the best whitewater rafting in the country, and I would definitely recommend you check it out.
All right. Jane of all trades, you're also a disc golfer. Where do you disc golf most often?
My home course. Yeah, there's actually a bunch of good courses around here. My home course is Sedgley, which is in Fairmount Park. That's where I go most often, several times a week. But then Stafford Woods in South Jersey is one of the best courses in this entire area. And the prettiest one I go to is Alcyon Woods in Pittman, New Jersey.
Very cool. I have never personally played disc golf, but I'm
Oh, it's so fun. Let's go together.
Invite me sometime. I'll go play. I'll learn.
Perfect. Deal.
Awesome. And you mentioned something in one of our previous conversations about Oswald Bear Ranch. What's going on with that?
So do you remember back in the beginning of quarantine, that whole Tiger King show? So Oswald Bear Ranch is in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Back over Labor Day weekend, my boyfriend and I were fortunate enough to be able to help produce an outdoor jazz festival on Mackinac Island. And from Mackinac Island, we continued north to the Upper Peninsula, and it's basically Tiger King, but for bears, but they're nice. Like, they're not like mean to the animals, and they're not like crazy and zany, but it was just a really cool experience because we got to feed the bears apples, and they were separated by their ages, and we were able to get really close to them. Like, I fed one strawberry jam, and we got pictures with it. It was wild. It was really fun.
So cool.
It was really cool.
That is awesome. All right. Last speed round question. You told us you believe it's nice to be important, but important to be nice. Please explain.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. You know, it's really cool to be able to have a lot of you know, notoriety or be super popular, but at the end of the day, you know, I think as far as relationships and friendships and your impact is concerned, quality over quantity in that case. I just try to somehow, even if it's in a small way, you know, be helpful and improve the lives of others on a day-to-day basis. And that to me is more important than, you know, how many friends or fans or followers or whatever the case may be is.
Full of amazing advice today, Christianna. I really appreciate it. Can you tell everybody where they can find either you or your organizations online?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely keep an eye on City Winery. On our socials will be, you know, the first place you'll see when we're back up and running with new shows. You can also sign up for our email list via our website, citywinery.com. There's 7 different cities where the venues exist, and there's a bunch of cool like pre-sales and interesting things you can find there. And obviously we're also on Facebook and Instagram.
Absolutely. And what is it, at City Winery? Is that?
Yeah, at City Winery followed by the respective city. So it would be citywinery.com/Philadelphia in this case.
Great. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking some time with me today.
This is super fun.
Awesome. And thank everybody for watching. If you like what you saw, go ahead and Give us 1 thumbs up, 2 thumbs up, however thumbs up you want to do. Actually, don't do 2 because I think that deletes the word.
Undoes it. Yeah, no.
Don't do that. Do 1.
Smash that like button. Yeah.
So there you go. Smash the bell. Yeah, subscribe. Let us know if you like what you saw. Let us know if you have any other ideas for people that you'd like to see us interview, any other topics, pretty much anything at all. Or if you just want to comment on how awesome disc golf is, totally. We want to hear from you. At this point, though, we are done for the day. So thank you very much. And we will see you all next time. Peace.
Bye.